Hello.
Hello.
In a world. Hello. In a world
There
where
you
always strikes last is making a podcast.
At night,
Where it's late.
all the time.
Late. Yes.
Oh no, it's yeah.
Fish
How
for
we
you,
doing,
Rocco.
fellas?
We're doing.
It's good. Been good. Busy but good. Tax
Busy
day's
but good.
tomorrow. Almost
Tax-
done. Woo!
What does tax
Ooh.
day mean? What does that
You
mean?
poor son of a. No, Mason. Don't say it like
I'll
that.
explain it to you when you're older.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dad.
Help! He needs an adult.
Well,
I already did my taxes,
yeah, me too. Me
Same,
too.
but
Maybe
not
a little
the
bit too
point.
early. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Anyway.
welcome, friendly listeners.
Mhm.
Sweet
To
viewers.
Another episode of Always Strikes
Subscribers.
Last.
Yeah, subscribers, listeners.
Patreon.
This is not fiduciary
Patreon.
advice, or I don't give legal advice. All the disclaimers.
Yep.
We're just goofy guys having a good time on a
You guys
Warhammer
want
podcast.
a little spicy take here? I forgot we were doing this, and so I was like rushing to get my stuff ready before go time, and then I came down here and got set up and realized, oh shoot, I don't have a shirt on. You almost got
Ooh.
shirtless in Seattle edition here.
Well,
Ooh.
Yeah.
we'll catch
Maybe
you one
next
day.
time. Yeah,
catch you
maybe
one
next
day.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
You
in
almost
the tier
tricked
2
me.
patronage.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Uh,
for
Strikes
painting
last
nights on
shirtless
Wednesdays,
calendar.
Mason. Calm
Right.
down.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
right. Maybe you will catch it if you're a patron. Let's get the disclaimers out of the way, do
Oh,
the
right.
Yeah.
do the bell thing. Do the bell thing. Like, subscribe, and then click on the bell
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, we got the Patreon, we got the Discord, we've got the
Mhm,
tournaments going on now in TTS. Life is good here.
Yep. And
And
all's
we are
good.
still not sponsored by Ghost Energy.
I know
Not
they need
yet.
I know.
they
Yeah,
really
yeah,
need to
yeah.
up their game,
Mhm.
It's
But that
really
is a good
time.
reminder, Rocco.
Yeah.
There's still time to sign up for the next Always Strikes Last TTS League tournament.
Hopefully
So
we
if
have a
you are
commercial coming
listening
out.
and you have not signed up, don't forget to sign up.
Mhm.
I'm not playing a meme list this time, and I don't think Mason is either. So we are
Yep.
ready to bring the heat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will be holding the midfield or the late
Mhm.
field with
Yeah.
purely spider stupidity.
I love it.
Because
Why not?
obsessions.
Yeah,
Obsessions.
why not?
Yeah.
Matt, I would really like to see some Beasts of Chaos out of you as a last hurrah. It could be the last tournament you get to play in.
One last
Oh,
ride.
is that a Beast of Chaos challenge?
It
Yeah.
might be.
Okay,
Might be.
I'll dust them out. But when I beat a bunch of you, don't be mad at me.
Never.
Oh, they're gonna be furious, but at me, not you. It's gonna be fine.
Oh, there we go.
See, there you
Okay.
go. There's your loophole. Mason did
Alrighty.
it.
Yeah, this isn't my fault. I was forced to do this.
I'm just gonna
Mhm.
sigh after every movement phase, every oh, my poor
Just-
boys.
Yeah, it's just, you only get a couple more times. Like I still rock them right now on some online tournaments that I'm doing, mostly
Nice.
because no one will let me escape the Beast of Chaos pit, but
Yeah.
also because, I might as well, like they're going away. I'm not going to get any more time with them. And
That is
Mason just
true.
wants company in the Beast of Chaos pit.
yeah.
Well, Gauntlet is thrown down. I can't walk away from it. I'll go ahead and play
Right.
There
Beasts
you
of
go.
Chaos in this Patreon tournament.
And I'm not
so
trying to force your hand, but Dragon Ogres just went down by 20 points in the last
I
little battle
know,
scroll.
I know. I looked at my list.
Yeah.
Well, what all of my lists? Yes, it looks good. It looks good for Beast of Chaos for the last couple.
There you go.
But yeah,
All I
so
imagine now is Mason in this pit of goats,
yeah,
just saying like,
Mhm.
"You merely adopted the goat. I was born in it, molded
Right.
by it."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to be fair, some people may say
Well,
I'm a dreamer,
Mhm.
but also that I only played Beasts of Chaos when the Bestigor were good. But to that I say nay. I won a tournament with second edition White Dwarf Beast of Chaos rules, and then
Mm.
played third edition book Beast of Chaos and didn't do great with them at all, and so put those right the way. But
Well, but that's funny though, right? So
happens.
like
Yeah.
the White Dwarf rules, the second edition White Dwarf rules for Beast of Chaos, and yes, we're gonna go on a tangent. This isn't even
Yeah,
our
we
main
are.
topic.
This wasn't, but this might lead into it.
Second
get
edition,
there.
second edition
Yeah.
White Dwarf rules broke that army. It was the least fun to play against. Because
I thought it was a hoot to play. I
it
was
was
like,
a hoot to play,
Yeah,
but the
to
worst to
play.
play against.
Yeah.
yeah,
Ugh.
it was just a summoning nightmare, and I was just like,
Mhm.
here's Dragon Ogres, and I'm just gonna do all this stuff, and like I'm summoning 6 more, like
Oops,
right
all
now.
cockatrice. Oops,
Yeah.
all cockatrice.
Oh, did I do that too? Yeah, I think.
Oh
I did.
yeah, you did.
The
Yeah,
50
Throw some
cockatrice
boys on the
list or whatever
barbecue
it was.
pit.
yeah,
Yeah, but like it
Oh.
made all the bulls just stupidly
You know what's
overpowered.
fun? You know what's fun and comical about that is
What?
that tournament that I played with Beast of Chaos. It was Sparkle Party. It was fun in the
Oh.
Purple Sun. And I played against Bear in the finals, but
Uh-huh.
he was playing Bone Splitters.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
find
was
it
that
comical. Yeah,
Sparkle
That
Party?
is funny.
that was a Sparkle Party. Yep.
I think I had already moved on by then, possibly.
Oh.
The
Dead
White Dwarf
game.
rules hit me wrong. Everybody and their friend was
What?
picking up Beast of Chaos, and I was like, you know what?
You gotta be a hipster, Matt.
Gotta be a hipster.
It's true. He did. Yeah, he would go around and say, "I played these when they were cool."
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just be
Yeah.
like me.
I
don't
played
buy
them when
White
they were
Dwarfs,
not cool.
'cause you can't read.
Don't buy a white dwarf.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
read. Why would I buy a book?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't read either. I just used the rules. Like people said whatever it was doing, I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I just get to summon more guys. That's all I
I
do.
recorded it
If I
on tape
push
and play it.
three of these models around, they go into your models. My model lives and your model dies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will
Those are the
say
rules.
that was like prime Dragon Ogre days, though.
It
Like,
It was.
It was
Oh yeah.
so nice, and that was actually I remember when the third edition book came out, and Mason and I were looking at it, and we're like, "This is kind of trash. Like, we're still gonna try and play it, but this is kind of trash."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, I kind of remember it even slightly different than that. It's like I wanted it to be good. Like I found something that I liked, but it was a completely different army.
Mhm.
It had the same name, but they were
Yeah.
entirely different. I was playing like a zone denial,
Yeah.
board control type
Mhm.
list, and it
Mhm.
went to like drop 6 or 9 Bulgor 7 inches away anywhere on the board and
Yeah.
yeet them into.
And hope they lived long enough. They
Yeah.
have a shaman off the board to move people, move their models, and do shit.
But
Yeah.
no, I explicitly remember, or succinctly remember,
Wow.
Mason dropping off those models from, I think it was one tournament or another. I can't even remember. I think that was one where he went up north. And like we're sitting there looking at the book, and you're like, we're just talking about it. And we're just like both kind of sighing a little
Yeah.
bit. We're like,
It's
oh
like, man, yeah. And to be totally honest with you, the index
Wow.
wasn't a big change,
Mhm.
but the game
The game changed.
catered, the game changed, and it catered
Huh.
a bit more to that sort of play style, so you didn't feel super punished. But also
Yeah.
for the first time in long time, they made Bestigor the thing,
Mhm.
and that was just a force to be reckoned with
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
edition. So
Yeah.
I won't even necessarily say that they were an insanely fun army to play, but boy were they powerful, But
So you were
Yeah.
saying that they were goated?
yeah, exactly. Super goated.
2 thumbs up from that one.
You
Yeah.
love to see it.
And like
Huh.
and there were just many strange changes from the index too. Like a lot of it being like, like companion weapons or companion equivalent weapons all going to like 4+ meant like
Yeah.
some of your models, which were very consistent before, like second edition, third edition, some of your monsters were the most consistent hitters because they were hitting on 3s and not 4s, right?
Mhm.
So like
I don't know if you all remember this, but
Yeah.
their Herdstone used to say +1 rend, right? And then
Mhm.
in the third
They
battle
got
round,
bigger.
+2 rend.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Then
that was
in
gross.
fourth, then it modified again, changed again, and it went to start second and fourth, I believe.
Yep.
Sounds right.
And
Well,
then
Jack, we're opining about Beastmen because we didn't get to our topic yet.
But continue.
Yeah,
Mason.
continue, Mason.
and
Continue.
so now it's second, you get plus one
Mhm.
rend, and
Yep.
that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Dead army. No one cares.
Yeah, gosh.
It's
I'm
gone
happy
in a
it's
few
going away.
months. It's all right.
Off to the slaughterhouse.
It'll be
Yeah.
okay. You get to play Beastman at the tournament if you get matched with me. It's
There you go.
official.
Yay.
Which of
Living
course
on.
means just be
Play of an
prepared
old
for an
world.
insane amount of wounds. Because that's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Run and
You can
crunch.
fit a lot of gore in the list. I'm just saying.
Yeah. A lot of gore and a lot of dragon ogres, and that's pretty much all the lists are.
You know,
Hey,
it's
do you
their
like
time.
striking last? Ha. Well, now you're going to.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, one of the other things that kind of like led myself away from BC Chaos was that because the army had changed so much, I have a hard time picking up like the encyclopedia of rules that exist in the game. I think, and the sudden changes. It's the same reason that I have a massive Sylvaneth army, and I bring it out once in a blue moon, lose a game because I've got like 5 different past rule sets that are stuck in my head that I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of get like a little demoralized on the army in general, you know?
They're bad.
Yeah. But like
Yeah.
that I'm kind of trying to segue us into the topic here. What do you and that topic is like, what do you do when you don't feel fresh anymore? When you're a little scummy, you aren't hitting your targets.
Dice rolling bad.
Dice rolling bad. Game's not going the way they should. Rules.
Little burnt
P&W
out on
Shade got
tournament.
your dice rolling low.
Yeah, stuck in that California sun.
Yeah.
Well, number one solution, guys, buy new dice. Case closed.
Dude,
Hey,
I
bingo.
can't buy any more dice. I'm sorry. You have no idea how much dice I have.
Yeah.
The answer is always not enough.
Yeah,
Let me say that.
I hit that when I have like a full like 4 foot tall freaking container
No.
full of different dice.
No.
All of them. You'll see. You'll see.
Why you have 80 Bestigor too at a moment's notice?
Mhm.
Yeah, hey. You leave my Bestigor guy out of this. Okay.
True, he's your dealer. My bad.
Hey man.
My bad.
Hey man,
we
we know
Rico case next. Jesus Christ.
we know I'm the goat when you need it, all right? I got
Oh,
you.
Just go to
that was
Costco and
pitch
get the
perfect.
goat cubes. Put them on bases.
Uh,
You're
But yeah,
talking
like-
my guy all wrong here.
Yeah.
my bad. Excuse me.
Give me some respect.
I did not mean no disrespect.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure all you guys have hit it. I know that I've hit it, and I'll hit it consistently once every season where I'm just feeling like, oh man, I know that I'm making the right plays. I get done with my game and people are like, you played the game, as good as you could have played it. And I'm just like, still not getting the results I want. What do you guys do when that happens? And anybody can start out. Let's do it. Let's get into this nitty gritty. If you're in the trenches and you're stuck in mud, what do y'all do?
You go ahead, Mason.
I think a big thing that is tough for a lot of players to do for a multitude of reasons, and we can talk about that in a second, is to really look at and ask yourself the tough questions about what your expectations were, what your outcomes were, and the things that you can control to make changes or to make the improvements or to make the changes that you're looking for. Sometimes that's, what was I playing in this list and why did I take it? Like being really truthful with yourself about why you made certain choices, right? Because if those choices don't necessarily match up with the expectations or the goals that you're setting for yourself, then that's something that you can control and manipulate and make changes towards, right? You also can say to yourself like, why did I take this army? You know, why did I do um this prep? You know, any of those things, whatever it is you're working on, whatever it is you're doing or not doing, you can ask yourself, you can evaluate, why did I make those decisions? And again, match them to the expectations that you're setting for yourself. So if the goal is 4-1 and you go 2-3, right? You really got to look at that and say, okay, how are these pairings? We can look at that and say, okay, was I paired horribly wrong? No. Were some of these losses things that I could have won, perhaps? Okay. Now, did I have to play this army? Why was I playing this army? Sometimes I hear people say like, well, these guys are fun and I wanted to just play these guys, or this is my pet unit, or any of those things. And I support all of that, you know. There's no
Guilty.
reason why, there's no
Guilty. I
reason
need
why
my
you
turtle.
can't play those things, right? But I do think that sometimes if you find yourself in a slump that's created because of, you know, results on the table or historic outcomes of these games, right? You've got to start to um clean up the edges a little bit, right? And
Trim the
so,
fat. Yep.
yeah, exactly. And sometimes that can be a tough pill to swallow. And so again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have these pet units or you shouldn't be doing those things, but you do want that to match the expectations. Understand, like, you know, my goal should maybe go down a game on average statistically. If I want to be 4-1, maybe I'm cool with going 3-2, just to use Matt as an example here. Maybe I'm like, you know what? I know that I want to play an all spider list, right? And I love that for me, but I recognize that it's probably not the most competitive I could do with
Wait, what?
all gloom spite. Right. Yeah, just as this a
Yeah, wait, what? All
hypothetical.
spiders
Yeah, it's just a
are bad?
hypothetical. No?
No,
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 they're
spiders
I
not.
unless
wouldn't
they're
say
dead.
that.
No.
Well, spiders are very good.
But
They're just
The
very
wolf
hard
spider.
to play.
yeah, the wolf spider, right? But all of that
Oh,
to
wolf.
say, right? Like
Ugh.
if you're doing this because I really just want to play all the spiders and see how
Mhm.
many I can fit on the board and do this, right? That now should change and perhaps match an expectation that you want for yourself. It's like, it would be a good day for
Yes.
me if I could go 3 wins, 2 losses with this list, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're building a list to go 4-1, start trimming that fat, start reevaluating the things that you can control and really asking yourself the hard questions. Maybe even ask some of your friends or teammates or play partners, like, what is the fat here? What are you trimming? What am I not seeing, right? And take in that feedback. Again, I know this can be challenging sometimes because you only have one army, you only have so many models painted, you've only got so many options. At that point, you know, we could start to have some different dialogue about ways we can utilize the resources we have better.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think a lot of people have the ability to give and take, choose some new stuff, mix and match.
Self-reflection's hard too for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I don't think I'd have a job or a business if people were good at self-reflection.
That's a fair point. That's everybody's challenge. You
Yeah.
know, I really jive with all the stuff you're saying there, Mason. You know, I think that's like a big thing. Like if I go with my 5 Fulmeroid list because I love the idea of a theme of them like having a revolt, it's not going to be the same as like the Chosen Vanguard combo. You know, like, you know, going into a really competitive environment. Another silly example, like that's part of it. And I know that Matt, you know, to riff on sort of your examples of the spiders, and you and I have the similar tendencies. We love to find the unique snowflake. Sometimes we find buried gold. Sometimes that was not the most efficient snowflake that's out there. So that's certainly like a factor. But I try to think of it with a couple layers too. Whenever I run into that kind of that funk that you were describing, I definitely try to consider that. You know, is my list like suboptimal for reasons, whatever, you know, maybe it's a preference of mine or someone doing, or that someone I've overlooked. But I also try to just ask myself, did I have a plan that I was following? Like, did I have a clear conception of what I wanted to do with this list, whatever it was? And was I doing that, or was I just kind of like on the field or being reactive? And then I ask just the rules thing, which is, am I up to date in my knowledge? that I
Mhm.
would need to have to be able to deal with this stuff. And sometimes that's the rules themselves or whatever the journal's handbook is. Sometimes it's just like the new books. Like, what is the hotness? What
Oh
are the
yeah.
combos? How do they work? Like,
Yeah.
if I go and I play in some tournament and I'm playing new gets and I don't know about all their mortal wounds, and someone has like that list, could be a situation where if I knew it well, I would win, but I'll just get taken by it.
Mhm.
Something like that. Again, I think that's
I think we've
I
all
try to
played
ask myself
against that
that.
new book experience before. It's like,
Yep.
wait, that does what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
like I remember the first time playing as Usheron, I'm like, what the fuck? Like this
Yep.
guy does
Yeah.
this? Wait, he's also a two cast wizard?
Yep.
Dark
He can
Souls
make
raid
my
boss, man.
yeah. He's like,
Seriously.
what?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I made a living for a while, which is a fun way to say it. I made it a point to play the new stuff as quick as possible, as soon as I was allowed to, because that's a tactic, you know,
Yeah.
Oh,
that
Mhm.
100%.
and if I know what all of the existing armies do, I just need to learn one. But
Yes.
oftentimes people are catching up still, or just learning these new things, or not even like caught up. They're like, I'll figure out that book
Mm-hmm.
when when it's been out for a little bit. I don't want to piecemeal it together or whatever. And so then I can show up and I'm like very transparent. Here's a printout of all my stuff. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, but it doesn't necessarily warn you for what you need to look out for. Like, what is the shark in the water
Mhm.
uh thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Oh
always
yeah.
fun to
I remember that first sparkle with Cities when Cities was finally live and just like
Mm-hmm.
having to understand how orders worked for multiple different
Oh God.
like
Yeah.
races within
Mhm.
sub factions, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, what? Okay, these guys can
Mm-hmm.
like sustain fire. These guys have assassins. Like, all right, guys, I don't even understand what's going on here.
Well, and
I
then
don't think you do either.
there's even the ebb and flow right now of indices, right? Like we for a little while we weren't seeing OBR, so OBR wasn't something to really memorize too much. And OBR kind of back in a little bit.
Yeah,
And
Doc is
Yeah.
you
back.
know,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Doc is back. People are playing Doc big time now.
mhm.
I still don't get why Doc even went away. I feel like, except for just like recently,
Well,
Doc have always been strong. They've always been at least good. What even happened to make them that
points. It
bad?
was
They
the
had that
points.
crutch.
Points,
It was
points.
Yeah.
points. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I set mine down. They were really
Mhm.
hard to play, and snakes,
Hmm.
snakes aren't as resilient as the witches, right?
Nope.
That's
It
fair. Wound
changes the
density and
points
all
and
that.
then
Yeah.
changes to the general's handbook, meaning they get extra movement because it's
Oh
so
sure.
easy to get a supporting character in there.
Hmm.
Also, they
They're
got a
Yes.
nice
stonks
little
with up.
quality of life glow up in the battle scroll, where the snakes have some more bonus hero stuff you can take,
Yep.
so you don't have
Yeah,
to take
that's
extra
nice.
regiments. That was a
There were
nice
a lot of
change.
random little glow
I
ups
heard
in the
about that.
There
the
were.
update
That was
with
it
like,
was a nice update. With
yeah,
it feels like these supporting heroes finally feel like the field sergeants they intended it to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
And they
You
finally
know,
got there, but at that point I had already moved on towards like some other freaking obsession.
that's fair.
So
I want to parade out a theory though on the doc. I feel
Latest.
like they weren't really ever that bad. I just feel like the iteration that was being used before this edition got bad real quick. Because I think
Yeah.
that, there was always the let's have Marathi as a centerpiece, which was fun and kind of like a how do I deal with this button situation.
Hmm.
mhm.
But that got a lot worse because
If I
so much more
never
out of
see another
phase damage
Marathi.
came in, and it was so easy to chip her down versus like what would happen like in third edition. So if you weren't playing other stuff and that was your thing, that was bad. I don't know if that's what you guys think, but I had
Oh,
to
Well,
say.
100%. We've
I
talked
get
about that
that.
on previous episodes too,
mhm.
where
Yeah.
especially Mason and I did on the Tacoma Open episodes
Mhm.
last year when we were first learning uh fourth edition, and it was like,
Hmm.
I need to stop thinking about this like it's third edition.
Yep.
Everything is it's a whole new world.
Yep.
We don't, it's all uncharted territory. We don't know. People still
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
think like the meta is probably like 80-ish% solved right now, but like
Okay.
people still are still finding new builds.
What's your 20 you're still thinking about then? What are the Corsairs working on in the lab? Huh?
We'll see. I don't know.
I mean,
The answer will be
The
on the
tease.
Patreon only.
Yeah.
Just joking.
I hear eggs are expensive in this economy, so I might try to get some chickens out on the table to produce some eggs.
must
Uh-huh,
have
uh-huh.
chicken.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Okay.
Good.
Chicken.
I do want to mention there was a good counterpoint to
Mm.
what Mason and Jack talked about for like the pet armies and stuff.
Hmm.
If your expectation going into an event is to, go 4-1-5-0 and top in the event, and you do end up playing against the random 24 rock gut troll list that's just someone's pet army,
Hmm.
you sometimes those armies just do their thing and there's
Hmm.
nothing you can do about it.
And that's
And then
okay.
Yep.
it's
No?
perfectly okay, but like if you're playing like a mid-range board control army, for instance, like Mason, I'm sorry to bring this up, but the first Sparkle in fourth edition, when you played that Killer's Inch army, when we were
Uh-huh.
doing practicing,
Mm-hmm.
and you stole my hopes and dreams in round two of going 5-0.
Yeah, sounds right. Sorry.
And yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
That's the best response.
Yeah.
When club
Mason
mate
is
clubs
in
club
the
mate.
business of stealing my golden tickets all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I
But
think he's
anyways, I
taken 3
remember
off you this year.
uh, anyways, but you
Sorry,
paired
too
in
real.
you paired
Too real.
into
My bad, my
Ricky
bad.
that next round after me, and
Yep.
his trolls just went forward and troll things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, but Ricky's army wasn't an army that was going to go 5-0.
No.
Like he
No,
had
it was an
realistic
army that
expectations.
I had to like crunch to prep for Zneach because I had a week off of a
Yeah.
city's win, right, to play Zneach. And Rock Guts and Trogs were not something on my radar in the slightest. And yeah, they've got this fun ability where they get to heal in the hero phase and heal after they fight. And my whole thing is about keeping Weird Flame on stuff. And so that army just did not get punished by anything that I did. And so yeah, it's definitely a
But the point is, like, you bring an army that's like super meta, and your expectations go 5-0. You did a lot of prep. You do your thing. You stick to your game plan. That's a big thing, which people get derailed from. Like, have a game plan, stick to it. If it doesn't
yep.
work, it doesn't work. Have your realistic expectations, but you're also sometimes going to run into the very not meta list that you don't prepare for,
Yep.
and it's how are you going to try to recover from that? Is It's a big thing, and then when you're doing your self-reflection, you have to be like, you don't want to spiral down a rabbit hole thinking like, okay, I need to make all these changes to get that happens. Like, no, there's this one
Bless you.
person
Right.
that I got paired into of the 80 people in this huge community that plays that one random list that I just happen to,
Yeah.
have to chew on that
God
shit
damn it. I
sandwich
did
today.
not prepare for spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't see
Yeah.
those 40 Spider Riders and Arachnoids
Yeah.
coming.
How many mortal wounds? Why isn't this meta? What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Hey, see, the secret though is you still have to roll 6s for those, so or
That's easy.
5s.
Game's easy. Just roll 6s.
You know,
Game's-
that's what
No,
all the
but-
Cruel Boys players do, right?
But that is the thing, right? Like if you're anything can come in and swipe you out.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if it's something you haven't prepared for. So,
Mhm.
part of it also is like, what maybe taking a look at the players in the tournament. If they're local and you know them, taking a look at the lists ahead of time will also help you to identify something you don't necessarily know, right? Ask your friends, ask your club, ask the interwebs about how that list works, why it works, what it does. Some of those things aren't
Yeah.
readily apparent, right?
Yeah, sometimes in those little pet lists, like you said, you accidentally stumble on the gold.
Mm-hmm. Or they just happen to be the rock to your scissors,
Mm-hmm.
That's a very fair point. And I think that's something that can't really be underestimated, that if there's some off meta lists out there, or even some meta lists which are less common, and they are the rock to your scissors, but you've prepared to be the scissors to papers 70% of the time based on what's prevalent either in your community or just around, you've already done your job. Like, you can't fight fate. To be honest with you.
No, God, no, you can't.
I mean, you can fight it, but that doesn't mean you win.
Exactly.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, like Sparkle. I played against one of my losses was against 70 Source Warriors in Croak. How many
Ooh.
times do you think you're gonna line up against 70 Source Warriors in Croak?
I don't know. 1 unit of 10 is enough for me.
On the
Yeah.
random and like map draw
Oh,
is a
was it
big
Star
thing
Strife?
too. No, it was
Okay.
the one where you go sideways, long ways.
Battle
Mhm.
for the
After the
Pass.
pass.
I hate
Yeah,
that mission.
Yeah, that
that's
one
a
can
true
be a
thing.
pain.
They just line up on the board and walk forward. You can't do anything.
I wouldn't
No?
mind that mission if the deployment was hamburger instead of hot
Okay.
dog.
Yep.
Uh, because when you're stacking tables back to back, like
Yeah.
you don't have much room between the tables to walk around,
Yeah.
you start booty bumping a lot of people.
That's true. That's very much like
Yeah.
a practical reality as a wargaming challenge. You're like, oh, Dio, why'd you do this?
Well, and that one's also really dependent on terrain too, right? Like different sizes of terrain in that mission can absolutely win you the game or lose you the game, dependent on the type of army that you're playing.
Yep.
Because if it's blocking charges from a slow moving army and you happen to be a fast moving army, whoo, good luck then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's true.
And a lot of what I would do in those situations where it's like we're just talking about, it's like that's really just tournament dependent, right? Is just continue to try and crunch games in like um you know, I know it's probably either A, not fun, or B, expected at this point, but like every game outside of a tournament, I'm generally going to be taking those extra moves to find out, what's going to happen in this situation
Mm-hmm.
when I put myself up against a wall to fight out, right? Playing
I
to
agree.
playing to put myself in lesser than optimal situations in practice
Mm-hmm.
half the time, pays off on a lot of the
Oh yeah,
games.
100%.
No,
Um,
When you think about it in like a chess term,
mm,
in chess terms rather, in Sigmar, it's really easy to practice your openers.
mhm.
There's not
yes.
like different names for them. Every army unpacks a little differently, and how you deploy against their setup and what you see, right? Like you can practice, you can solitaire your openers, is what I like to call, right? This
Yeah.
game doesn't sandbox very well. And by that, what that means is that I can't replicate a mid-game scenario where I'm down in like a 70-30% favorable position so that I can
Mm-hmm.
practice clawing my way out of it. Right?
Mhm.
Again, I can't practice a really close turn 5. I've just gotten priority. I'm down by 6 points. I need to score 10 and keep them from scoring 4. You don't get to practice those scenarios very frequently.
Yeah.
So what Matt is saying right here is awesome. Is you can stress test. You can put stuff in precarious positions when you do these test games so you can find out what does it look like if I'm faced with this opportunity again? Because your brain is going to look for patterns that you've been in the situation to
Yep.
gauge
Mm-hmm.
that outcome. And so,
100%.
Well, and
doing what you can to create those scenarios so that you do have to claw out of it is the closest you can get to practicing mid and end
There's
games.
there's something on that, Mason. I really want to key in on too, because I feel like that's 1000% it. You have to take those opportunities when it's a friendly game or whatever to like explore those kind of tough spots. But almost going right back to the beginning, I think we trick ourselves into thinking that we were in those tough spots unavoidably, even if we're trying to do stuff like that. And then we
Oh,
wonder where it
100%.
went wrong. Yeah. Part of the fuzz, for Matt, and just hypothetical, might be that he's put himself in 3 rough, shitty situations and they don't always work out. It's like, why don't I have that edge? Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he's trying to learn these outs, which is actually a good thing, but won't feel good psychologically.
well, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where I was leading to as well, which is what do I do when I'm in that stress test? How do I react? And is the gut reaction the better way to react in a game? Or is that a moment where it's like, hey, maybe I need to chill out. Let's take those extra, 2 minutes that I know I have on this round. Like if I'm playing a chess clock, right?
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to play fast because I drill myself on playing fast. I set up my dice ahead of time. I take care of those things.
Yeah.
What do I do when the stress test is there? As far as, am I going to make a knee-jerk reaction, or am I going to have the ability to just sit back and go, okay, think about the battle tactics, think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I prepare myself mentally so that I can know that, hey, this may, in a similar situation, have worked out, 3 out of 5 times. There's a better chance of this working out versus the other one, 1 out of 5 times working out
Yep.
on a poor roll, right? For me, I find that extremely helpful because it sets expectations for my gameplay at least, which is like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do that. This is the last ditch effort. Let's see if we can try it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right.
I think for that, practicing, I think everyone should do this, is practice on a chess clock, even if you want to have like a casual-ish game.
Mhm.
You can, as Mason pointed out, you can practice your early game by yourself. You can solitaire yourself, do your deployment, to then later on in the mid game give yourself the time that Matt described, because you're so used to practicing going through the motions of deployment, turn one, turn two, to then being able to afford the extra time on your clock
Yep.
to sit there and fully process, while your opponent may not have that luxury.
Mhm.
I know a lot of times in the Northwest, I run into players that don't practice on clocks, and when they get on clocks, they get kind of spicy and they almost clock themselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's a great point. And again, not only is it that get it to be the muscle memory so you don't have to think, so you can think about other shit. In
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
cool. I've got my opener move. I know what battle plan it is. I see the terrain layout. I'm familiar enough with it since a lot of the terrain layouts have been more standardized. I know my opponent's playing this army. Now, I don't have to think about my own deployment. What are they trying to look for? What can I gain through the deployment phase myself instead of being worried about I need to fit my models here too. Oh, they're putting here, how can I react? Oh, they're setting up to go and give me turn priority. I can recognize that. I'm gonna go off and do this instead. I'm gonna
I think learning how to react, learning how to react like that is going to come with time and reps and experience with the
yes.
armies you're up against, right?
Mhm.
Somebody kind of hit on it earlier, and just to summarize it, the more mastery you have of every other army out on the battlefield, the easier
Mhm.
time you're going to have. Right?
Oh
Because now
yeah.
you don't have to think through as many permutations. You can look at them and be like, okay, cool, yeah, I know what your stuff does. Who are the buffs on? Okay, who's the stuff on? Neat. Who are who's finest hour? Okay, awesome, right? Like once
When
you're to
you
the
know
point
their
where
army better than
yeah,
them.
once you're asking them about stuff in advance, you're in a way better position, because now every decision you make is with that information informed. You don't have to
Mhm.
be
Mhm.
like, oh crap, that's the one that gets that bonus after you've like
Yep.
moved
Yeah.
and committed and it's half a turn later, right? So that's always going to be key for like helping you to react. But
Mhm.
again, if you can be diligent and you can practice that mid game and that open, you should be going for that all the time, because like technically you shouldn't be creating one, you should be creating a few. Like sometimes like
Mhm.
Zneach has like a castle setup that's pretty standard and you might have one or two variations, but oftentimes you should be able to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do if they have a lot of long range shooting, and this is what I can do if they have short range shooting. And if they're an army that can reach me and project that much power that fast,
Yep.
I need to screen in this way and have this stuff more than 3 inches back, right? If I
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
that they can't do that and they're going to have to go first, I instead can put this stuff on the line, force them forward so I'm closer to crash, right? You have like 5 or 6 of these
Yeah.
things that you can kind of set up
Oh yeah.
for. So again, as you start to evaluate that army or you hear your opponent give you the spiel, you're like, okay, cool, I'm cool with that.
Mhm.
Recognizing the drop count, this is all stuff that you need to start being able to process very quickly, because now you need to set your brain to, okay, nice, this is variation 4. This is what I'm going to go for. I'm likely going to have decision against this army. I'm going to want to take first because I've set up for this way so I can move to these sides, get these buffs off, score maximum points, deny, So once you can get all that down, yeah, you're gonna buy a lot more time. You're gonna buy a lot more time in the mid game to be able to react. And the cool thing is, when your opponent does what you expect them to do, now the train continues. The track's like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the next thing. These guys are gonna run over here, and now I'm gonna take the flanks, and I'm gonna, and you just keep doing the thing and scoring the points. You keep the script, right? When your opponent throws a curveball, that's where you have to make a decision and be asking yourselves at every point, why am I moving here? What am I doing? How is this getting me back to my track? Right?
Mm.
Because ideally, you want to be making decisions to get you back on course for
Yeah.
what you've planned out. Because
You know
anything
your
that,
win conditions.
right, anything that can reduce the amount of different choices, permutations that you have to go through for your own army to do what you want to do, the more you can concentrate on what your opponent is going to do, and the more you can concentrate on how to deny what they want to do. Or what I like to do, put them in situations where you force them to do what you expect them to do.
Yep.
Right? I'm
Yep.
going to put this here, and okay, yeah, you're going to be able to do the redeploy and the murder lust, but you're going to have to get the 4 up on the thing. So I make it enticing, but I deliberately am doing this. So against the corn player, it's like, okay, if you want to do this, I'm choosing that this is happening,
Yeah.
And so getting to that point so that you can then dictate back, take pace, take back control of the pace of the script of this is going to be key, right?
You also need to
And
learn to be comfortable with your decisions in those moments.
yeah,
Because even if they don't work out,
It's
that
still the right
might
play.
not necessarily, it still might have been the correct decision.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And
Yep,
that can be
that-
really hard to recognize too, like until way later.
Yeah.
I
And
always enjoy dialogue around that myself.
Mhm.
Sorry, Matt. I think I cut you off entirely.
no, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Jump on it.
I guess I just was keen into that, because those moments, the question is, did I make a mistake? Was this like a dunce move? Or was it the right move with bad fate? And so sometimes that could be a discussion, maybe after the game with your friend, whoever you were playing, say, hey, when I did this, what did you think? Let's have a debate about this. Was this the right course of action with ill fate? Or, was it just something silly that could have been played a different way? Because I think that you can always reflect on it yourself and have an opinion, but it's nice to get that other perspective, just to sort of quickly drill down to the truth of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's common etiquette too I like doing it.
I always do it.
When we
Oh,
play,
after games and just
hey, I did
have a little
this.
talk after. Yeah. Yeah.
You mind if I ask your thought process on, this situation that happened?
Mhm.
Like what I moved up my Vanguard and got ready for this charge, and you redeployed this model this direction, but
Mhm.
and then mentally myself I was thinking about why'd you do that? It's like,
Yeah,
would you mind
just
explaining your
ask.
thought process behind that? People are gonna be friendly most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna run into that weirdo, but
Me. But...
yeah, Mason in the goat
No.
pit.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
But again, you can learn so much, and especially also, dear listener, this has been a lot of information in a lot of ways, and Mason's
Yeah,
39
pause and
step
take
plan to
notes.
victory.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Everything was correct. Don't get us wrong. It's a lot to take in, and we've been playing this game for a very long time through a lot of iterations, and have got probably too much experience to really be talking on some of this, and then in some areas not enough. But it is doable. And again, asking questions, because this all started with, Matt. Yeah, we were all shitting on Matt and his spiders or whatever an hour ago.
The worst.
But
All right, well, wait, those are the secret weapon of the edition. These haven't come in
Yeah,
early.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know that. You know that.
But again, when you're
Race to
beaten
the
down from all these
That's
tournaments
me.
and you're trying, and yeah, that's Matt,
Mhm.
and he doesn't know what he's doing anymore because you thought he had the pet unit that turned into the meta thing that turned into the secret killer of whatever, and you're just sitting there after your tournament going 2-3 or 1-4 or 0-5, and you're like, what the fuck happened?
Listen, there's not many people that can just pull up 80 painted Pestigore at the moment's notice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or
Matt.
I wanna meet him if they can, because that's a friend. So
yeah, your secret to a knee-jerk reaction on
Uh-huh.
not attaining your goals is to find yourself a mat. That's really what it is.
A local mat, you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah,
local
it's a
mat.
common enough name. You probably can find one.
But the
But
the big thing is when
what?
it comes down to a lot of that, like, you know, um, you may not get what you want, and sometimes it can feel. I know a lot of players have felt like that. I've certainly felt like that over the course of the time that I've been gaming and doing tournaments and just being like, well, why am I doing this? Was that fun? And that usually
I'm
comes
not a morning
down
person. Why am I in this hobby? I ask
exactly.
myself that every time I go to an event, tournament
They
or otherwise.
they usually comes down, I've found for myself, on incorrect expectations and uh the incorrect idea of like what I wanted to get out of a tournament at one point, right?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And like a lot of it, one of the reasons I really enjoy our area is a lot of it's just we're just here to look at other people's painted models and roll dice and make
Hmm.
bad jokes about things as we play games. And we also just happen to be in one of the most competitively dense areas of the United States, which is
Which is hysterical
fun.
when you add all that together.
Mm-hmm. But
We're also so like friendly and like family because we've been doing this all together
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
like for like 5 or 6 years in the Northwest that like if you just count like look at how many like hugs and high fives people are giving or like handshakes, like people
Hmm.
showing up,
I
free
demand
rounds.
hugs after the game.
There you
Yeah.
go. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
part of it too, dear listener, is you're not in this alone. Rely on your community. Again, you can't do half the practice to get better to practice your openers and all these other things. Your community's there. Everyone wants to play a game. They want to show you their cool painted minis and do all these things. And you can get together and meet new people and experience new things.
5 rounds, 5 friends. That's
Yep.
what it
Yeah.
is.
Exactly. And I'd say that's one of the things about the Age of Sigmar community that is so great because I know that you talking Alex about that being kind of like a hallmark of the Pacific Northwest community, but I also see that around here in Boston. I've
Hmm.
seen it other places. Generally, if you go out into a Age of Sigmar tournament and throw a stone, play new friend, they are going to be a friend. They're not going to be that person who's giving you a hard time or is just off vibes or isn't there to like have an engaging,
Hmm.
constructive like experience with you. And that makes all the difference in terms of showing up at to the point about morning people at 8:30 or 9 in the morning for a tournament and then dedicate a whole weekend to it or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And
I
if it doesn't feel like it, then find it. Like make
yeah,
it
Yeah.
happen, you know?
Hmm.
Like
Make the community what you want to be.
Yep.
I'm
exactly.
a big advocate of that.
yeah.
Yep, and not every store will be the store for you that has the perfect
Mhm.
setup or the perfect people. There are multiple gaming places to go to. I know for a while my big thing was because my wife was involved in this too when we first started, just finding a spot that, she could go to and not be harassed was a problem.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that is the thing. And then we eventually found group of probably 100 dudes and gals and everyone else in the Basement War Gamers that led off to different avenues, different groups and different things as we moved. And you find your community, and next thing you know, you've got people in Australia sending you memes, going, "Yeah, non, yeah, there's a big sheep," and I even brought Marty on the show a few months ago. You met him; he's real.
No, that guy
And
was
He
cool.
is real. He's a nice guy.
Yes.
oh yes, he's I love
He's
him
like
to death.
trees. Trees are
He's
real.
Mhm.
yes, trees are real. Uh,
Yeah. You know what I realized, guys?
what?
We have been giving boatloads of information to all of our dear
So
listeners
much.
today about like how to deal with like the tilt and the uncertainty of
Hmm.
their game plan and all
Hmm.
that. But like we already had the answer. We already had the shortcut for them. Like we knew how to get them out of that funk immediately. We didn't even tell them. So I'm just gonna restate
Play
it for everybody.
narrative?
No, better than that. No throat
Oh no.
cutter approach yet, Rocco, for this
Alcohol.
situation. Number one,
Ghost energy drink.
go to the Always Strikes Last store
Oh, that's
2,
right. You were late. Yeah, go
buy
on.
matching shirt and booty pants, and that'll probably set you straight.
Uh-huh. That's true. Being
True.
fashionable is nice.
Yeah.
But in the case that it doesn't, you could
Because Matt
also
already has all our gear. He reps it all the time.
I don't know. What's if he was counting the tournaments he's worn the matching combo at? How many tournaments are there, Matt? How many tournaments have you
me?
worn the jersey
Yeah,
and the
you.
shorts?
No, I
Jersey and
haven't got
shorts.
it yet. I haven't got it yet.
You
So
haven't
I wore
gotten it
my
yet.
I
Fogger
wore my
War
Always
lifted,
Strikes
man.
Last shirt underneath my Corsair jersey at
Oh,
events.
there you go.
At least
I
I
for
wear
one
this
day.
shirt out and
Never
about.
back-to-back days.
okay, so I'm gonna be 100% honest. I am not a big fan of like logo design stuff. So
Uh-huh.
like
Face
it's
tattoos.
face tattoos. Yeah, I
Let's
can.
get
Okay.
them.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, we can do that. So like I just
Just have the mace
created
on your face.
I created a couple of designs that are a little bit more muted, not as in your
Okay.
face, and I put
Yeah,
those up in the store.
they're
I
So
just
cool.
bought the
those will be
hat.
good.
I like the
Yep,
hat.
mine's
Yeah,
coming, my hoodie's coming.
good.
So like, but
Yeah.
anyways, that now we're diverting.
Thanks, Jack.
Matt,
Can
this
can
was
I
all about you. The
can I
viewers, we could be.
soapbox with a hot take here?
Oh,
mhm, mhm.
sure.
Go for it,
Okay.
Mason.
Okay. I have a preface for this because I don't want to sound mean or rude or come off
Already are.
dismissive, okay?
Yep.
With all due
Um
respect.
yeah, with all due respect. If your
Yeah.
goal is to improve at the game, and
Yeah.
by improve at the game, I mean get better results, right?
Yeah.
Because you could improve at the game and by just learning a lot more and taking in
Hmm.
content and
Mhm.
reading all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to
1-4 is better than
consistently
0
start,
and 5.
yeah, if your goal is to consistently upgrade from 3-2 to 4-1 or
Hmm.
4-1 to consistent 5-0, okay?
Hmm.
And so the reasoning when we have conversations or you have conversations with anyone on why aren't you doing X or have you tried Y, and the
Mhm.
reason that you give is that is boring or everyone does that, or
Uh-huh.
I want to play something different. I
Yep.
have a hard time coping with that or
Yep.
recognizing that. I
Mhm.
also don't care for I'd only want to play stuff that I want to play against. Or I don't want to play that. It's too busted. Okay.
Hmm.
Any of those things I don't jive with because I don't believe one of two things. I don't believe that's the reason why. So I think you're being dishonest. Or two,
Mm.
the
Mhm.
other goal that you've told me, which is to improve as a player, is not actually your goal
Yep.
because those things don't match. You
Mhm.
know, one
Mason, did you just describe everyone who has been complaining about the Slaves to Darkness meta for the past like 2 months?
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just it it's a tough one to swallow. And again, I know that it can sound harsh and I understand that sometimes things like that can be boring, and that's a harder one for me to combat because I don't think you should be forced to play something that's boring to you or that's not
Mhm.
fun because ultimately that's what we're here for.
Mhm.
Yes.
However, sometimes when you're trying to improve at basketball or at your mile time or typing faster
Yeah.
or you know driving more accurately, you have to practice, right? You have to change things, you have to do stuff that is the not as fun parts to get the end result that you're looking for,
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
Putting in the work.
100%.
Yeah.
That situation happened for me. I was playing Slaves to Darkness and I found they were not meeting the goals in which I had set for myself. I found them too coin flippy, and I told
Okay.
myself I didn't want to start playing 5 turn armies, but if I want to have my goals be to ticket and 5-0 as
Hmm.
opposed to having 4-1 at every event I show up to,
Yeah. Because
I
someone's
need to
gonna get your
start
number
playing
eventually.
five 5 turn armies because that's what I'm losing to.
Okay.
Mhm.
What are you considering a 5-turn army these days?
Armies that aren't going to wrap the game up on turn 1 or 2 randomly with like a 15-inch charge vanguard
Yeah.
double fighting into
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
5-turn armies would be like
Anything recursion.
Mhm.
catapult control OBR,
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
double bird Zinch,
Ooh, going all demons. I
Anything
like it.
like proper Skaven,
yeah,
Yep.
you
That's
know,
yeah.
Nurgle.
180 clan rats gave in. Yeah, Glotkin,
Blight Kings all
yeah,
day.
Blight Kings.
Yep.
Just, you need to. I reflected and I was like, okay, these guys I'm winning a shit ton, literally a shit ton of games with these guys, but it's not meeting my goals. And I had to be honest with myself. And while they're a crazy good army, sometimes they do the thing, sometimes they don't.
Yep.
But they're not. When I was honest with myself, they weren't doing what I set out to do,
Right.
and I had to shelf them.
Yeah,
It's reasonable.
And the
That's
cool
fair.
thing about this is that takes two sides to that coin, right? Of what are your priorities? Are they to get better at the game? Are they to win more? Or are they to do something else? Are they to play your special snowflakes?
Yeah.
Make sure that you know your priorities, because your priority could just be to go and get best painted. Your priority could be, hey, I just want to win one game, right?
Yeah. With my bullshit, whatever, I have this super rude, Goldberg machine combo of bullshit. Let's just throw it out there, make sure the ball lands in the cup once.
And
I want to play 140 Volkites. Let's see how many games I could win.
For those of you that don't have a mat and you're stuck in like the army that you can afford, at that point, maybe then the next thing is, well, how do I start planning for the army that I know is going to be the one that fits the playstyle? Well,
yes,
hop on TTS, start practicing the army that you want. You're going to get a bunch of practice in with it too, to see whether or not that's the one that is the good army, fits the meta that you're gonna work towards, right?
Yeah.
Test new friends you make at these events. Proxy, try new things.
And please, for the love of God, stop giving up in games.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
There's no need to tilt. You will gain nothing from tilting, and it's natural and it's human. And I know that it's easier for me to say don't tilt than it is easier to just overcome it. But just you gotta recognize it, and you've got to change the thing is not, ooh, I've got this, I'm driving. It's hoo, how do I navigate this, right? This is now your prime opportunity to practice that mid game, to practice that late game, to develop that. If you tilt and you throw and you just push stuff forward and you just are like, I'm just going through the motions, you're not being a great opponent and you're not learning anything.
And you're making a negative play experience for your opponent who is winning too.
Right.
Yeah. They're gonna feel awkward and guilty and weird about it. It's not fun. And really just 100,000% right there with what you're saying, Mason. And then I think it's worth remembering that there are times you feel that tilt at like turn 2 and the super bad thing has happened. If you take a deep breath and then play your best game, you still win. It's happened numerous times, tournaments, for me, for other people.
Fun story. At Sparkle Party, we were getting a recount of a game from one of our teammates, and he said, I thought I was basically out of the game, so I decided to just send it with everything, because I thought, what could I lose, right? Just gonna send it and just see what happens. He won that game.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not necessarily advocating that you throw all caution to the wind and just send it when you get in a losing position.
Take the wheel, Jesus.
Yeah, but the sentiment here and what I'm truly getting at is he did not defeat. He said, okay, this is a great time to introduce this thought I have, or this concept. You need to play to your outs, right? And it will take you time to understand and find what those outs are, right? But you should always be looking to take those angles. Sometimes it's a 10% chance. I need to do this and auto run this and get the 6 on the 6 up to do that. But that's the only way I win this game. That's the play you take then.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so recognizing those things, stop, ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And stay in it. It's like it's gonna be key. It's key to your growth.
If you show up to an event and if you don't have a medical emergency or a family emergency and you drop, you're robbing yourself and you're robbing someone else.
Yeah, 100%. As a TO, that is the most frustrating thing, to have somebody drop because they came in wanting to go 5-0, right?
Lost the first game and then they fucked off.
Yeah. No, not even that. They
Not even
went through
that?
the whole first day to try and get something, but they got so in their head that they just left, right? That's
Mm.
actually more insulting, I think, to all of your other players. That's more insulting to the community in general, I think, when you drop a tournament.
Yeah.
But that's more just like personal thoughts because, like, honestly, that means that you're pulling a TO in to do a buy game to make sure that the other people showed up,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
get to play. And that actually ruins the experience of other people who may need that TO to answer a question. It could be a
Yeah.
dumb question, but the problem is your your decision to give up at that scale like changes the outcomes of other games. Maybe some people aren't comfortable getting that question in because the
Yeah.
TO is now supporting somebody else's game,
Yeah.
right?
And to be fair, sometimes you need to step away, right? There
Yeah.
are
Shit
instances,
happens.
occasions where you need to step away, you need to be done, you need to not come back, whatever those are, and that's fine. I would encourage you at that point to try to talk to the TO and say, "Hey, this experience, this thing is leading me to be this way, and I'm feeling like I need to do this," because perhaps there could be conversations, there could be some coaching, there could be some I don't mean this in a condescending way, but a little bit of hand holding through the next game. There could be a little bit more involvement, and I think every TO is willing and able to help somebody through that
Oh
so
yeah.
that we can help
We
improve
want
the
to grow.
experience, right? Because
Yeah.
nothing can be done if you just storm off. And sometimes silently storming off is the same as violently storming off, because
Yeah.
again, we can't do anything and we can't know and we can't grow and we can't improve. So,
And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, too, if it's a negative play experience because of another player, but if you don't tell somebody, if someone's being a gigantic dick, then the
right.
next person's gonna run into them, and then they can't go
Mhm.
get their like some tournaments use like yellow and red cards or whatever system they got. They'll be like, "Hey, no, this person's like a drunk raging asshole. They're a problem," you know, but in a bad way, Alex.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had that happen to me at the last GT I went to. The day before the tournament, I was incredibly like in a bad mood because on my way to the tournament, I was in a car accident
Damn.
and I was just
I'm
just
sorry, bud.
completely just. I mean, everyone was fine, but like it
Yeah.
was, just
Still, yeah.
it was just not fun. So like I showed up to the our Airbnb just
Mm-hmm.
in a bad mood. I showed up to, day one.
Mm-hmm.
People knew I was just not in my right headspace,
Yeah.
like very early on. And I remember having an opponent. I just explained to him, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just not in a good mood right now." Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I had these things happen. He's like, "Do you just want me to concede to you? Like I don't really care about this as much as like they knew what my goals were." I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Don't you ever fucking dare!"
Yeah.
Like
Good. Good.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you hold that knife to my throat. You play me as hard as you possibly can,
Yep.
and we are going to have a great game and a great time.
Good.
Love it.
Good.
Yeah.
And to those who, like, if you know you've been beaten, like, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with acknowledging
Play to
it.
points.
Play play
Yeah.
to This goes back to that practicing under duress, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
there are very many
Yep.
games where I've known and I've said, like, hey, you've probably beaten me already. Like, it's most likely you won this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just keep on going, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's not a
You're there
sign
to
of
roll dice and
defeat.
have fun.
It's not a sign of defeat. It's a sign of, okay, well, let's see if we can dig out of this hole.
Well,
There's
Yeah.
nothing
that's
wrong
exactly
with
exactly it.
acknowledging it, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I found that it can be very helpful to acknowledge it, to to then say, oh, this is the gravity of the situation that I'm in, and I know that if I want to be better, acknowledging that then gives me the path to move forward,
I
because
like that, Matt,
the
a lot.
weight of a loss is not as much when you know that you're probably already going to lose. You can lose the fear from taking the risks that you wouldn't normally do to try and win the game, right? That's when
Mm-hmm.
all that extra practice comes in, where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, there's that 2 out of 5 move that I've used once, and that opportunity is suddenly opened up, you know?
Because
It's the
every
mental self-regulation you're doing,
oh
to
yeah.
It's a lot of
create
like
the opportunity for yourself.
So it's a lot of personal psychology, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
Yeah, that introspection thing we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
I still feel like it's
Yeah.
not giving up on all of your opportunities, even when things are grim. I mean, not only is it you're up against it, you're on the ropes. How do you win when the dice haven't favored you, or like the perfect 18-inch charge and everything just getting swept away? To remember those outs. That's such a thing, for the game itself. And of course, it
Mhm.
goes into what you guys have been talking about with, play the game to have the experience with the person across the table from you. And that's how you build a community and have a better time anyway. I mean, I think that there's always the outlier, but the community is very strong for people generally not trying to give you a bad time. So if you're having that experience, if you're feeling like it's the worst thing and you want to storm off or throw the game,
Mhm.
people don't want you to be feeling that way. I think
Yeah,
as a fundamental level,
Yeah.
talk to someone that could probably be better.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to do that in early rounds and mentally save your fortitude for later rounds too.
Mhm.
Like round 4, I remember playing the Tacoma Open last year when it was 8 rounds, and like round 6 was like,
Ugh.
Jesus Christ, guys, it's 5 o'clock on a Saturday. We should be done. We should be playing dinner. It's like, nope, we got another round. Let's go, guys. Like,
Ugh.
no, I'm good.
I think we've talked about it on the show, but when I was 5-0 going into that round, and it was like incredibly demoralizing to be
I
like,
remember that. Yeah.
my goodness, I have to play such a hard game and I have to
Mhm.
keep going.
Yeah.
And normally we'd all be high-fiving and we'd be done and we'd be
Yep.
doing
You get your
awards.
trophy at a
Yeah,
5-0. You're fine. What do you
seriously.
Yeah.
mean I gotta play more?
Yeah.
And what, like effectively skipping dinner, right? Because you just
Mm-hmm.
said, Alex, because that's the timing of that. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well,
Somebody said that.
I think we've come to a good place, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
That's a
Yeah.
dang good place.
Yeah.
we dropped a lot of knowledge today, guys.
Mhm.
Mostly about Beast of Chaos.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
basic guys.
Obviously,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Matt,
Um,
get your shit together.
and
Why'd you need all this advice? What are we
we
doing?
I
we
love
talk
how I
about
became the scapegoat for this entire episode.
yeah, that's because you
See,
can
he did it
handle
again.
it.
Nice
Yeah.
pun.
Ah,
Oh,
Oh,
Oh God.
Rough.
I know we said a lot today, and I gave a lot of thoughts and a lot of my takes on stuff, and I mean it with the most love, and I want to help the most that I can, but again, I think that the biggest takeaway, if anything, is to really be asking yourself, why am I doing this? And gauging that with the expectations that you have for yourself at large with the game.
oh yeah.
I
Mhm.
think if you can pause and ask yourself that question for a lot of the scenarios, when it comes to micro decisions on the table, to list decision, to model purchases, any of
Mhm.
those things, if you can stop and say, why am I doing this? What is my
Yeah.
goal?
Yeah.
I think that it will really help.
Set
made it back.
reasonable expectations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you
Buy
know you
Beast
got
of
your pet
Chaos.
unit, yeah, man, with your Beast of Chaos and all your
Yeah.
trolls and all the other Famir and everything. Reasonable expectations when you know there's some random crazy unit you want to build an army of. And you don't get upset when you don't 5-0 random viewer that's totally not Matt. Yeah.
Jesus, man. Jesus.
This
I'm
has
gonna
been a
have to wear
pile
a
on.
dunce
Oh
cap
man.
from here on out, huh? Hot damn.
Didn't come from me, for the
No,
record.
no. Yeah, for the record.
For the record.
No.
Well, I think we have come to that place where we're gonna do the thing
Uh-huh.
where
For
somebody gets the
Matt's
last
safety.
word.
So he's still part of the
Let's
podcast.
see.
I finished 3 more wolves during that episode, y'all.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
80 more to
Nice.
go.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Oh.
have one layer on a spood butt.
Oh, nice.
Food,
Oh,
but
that's a whole
Uh,
nice skull right
it
there.
looks venomous in the way they give coloration.
I drank 2 White Claws.
There you
solid.
go.
I like your
That's my
hog time,
dad's.
I
Alex.
drank before I came on the podcast, like a mature. I'm kidding. No.